perfectionist. Adderall got me restless.
I'm gone.
Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck.
Give me that.
To the trends. See a lead, be the band.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Will Be King. I'm here with a couple of my NFC North homies. How y'all doing today?
I'm doing great. Waiting on a big orange rocket to launch.
You're muted.
Fine.
I saw the news, Dave, about that big orange rocket. It's headed right for Wisconsin. I could not be happier. It's just probably the biggest, best day in the universe's history.
Oh, okay.
And you guys know I'm the weather guy. We always got to talk about the weather a little bit before we get going. What's it looking like wherever you're at, Pay?
Wherever I'm at, I'm always in the same place, man. I don't go nowhere. It got me confused with somebody else.
Yeah,
but no, it's I don't want to. It's nice. It's 80.
Okay,
Nice.
okay. I'm jealous, but it'll be 70 on Friday, so I'm holding out for that. It's real cold today. It was in the 60s/70s a couple of days ago, so it's up and down. But what's going on in the loop, Dave?
It's 59 and it's been raining all freaking day and night long.
All right.
Spring rains.
Yeah,
We need them.
April showers.
Mhm.
We are 23 days away from the draft, I believe. So we would be remiss if we didn't touch on those different topics. But before we get into that, do you guys have any just general news going on in your neck of the woods as far as any new free agents come through the door or anything like that?
No, free agency is pretty much done for, and as it relates to the Chicago Bears, I think with most teams, there's a lot of, there's some general news with the going on with the team, but nothing into particular with free agency. I think we'll get to the general's news a little bit later.
And there's nothing with free agency except for a couple of rumors. But that's that. It is what it is. We had a couple passings of elder Vikings players. Jeff Seaman, linebacker, third in tackles all time. He passed away. He was part of the Purple People Eaters, sort of transition. He played in 3 Super Bowls and transitioned over to the 80s. And speaking of the 80s, we had all-pro. I forgot the name again. My guys are going to kill me. Oh, shoot. Passed away, 65 years old. Corner or safety. Absolutely rocked. My guys are going, come on, David. You've killed too many brain cells. Yes, I have. I know that.
Is it Joey Browner?
Joey Browner. That's right. Thank you very much.
I just looked it up real quick.
And Joey Browner is the third on our all-time safety list behind Harry Hitman and Paul Krause. He just freaking rocked. Thank you, Fork and Skull. I appreciate it. Yes, I should slap myself over not remember Joey's name. I remember watching Joey. The dude could hit. He's the reason that they sort of put in the horse tackle rule, because he would tend to grab people from behind and just yank them down. But I mean, he'd not only hit you from behind, he'd hit you all angles, just tear you up. Joey Browner was awesome during the time period, and he was in some poor health last couple of years, but at 65, that's too young. Yes, Tim, getting old sucks.
Do you guys, as far as free agency is concerned, do you guys need some interior offensive line help? It looks like the Vikings are linked to Graham Glasgow. Have you seen anything like that?
I have not seen that rumor anywhere.
Okay. I think it was from Bleacher Report, maybe.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, when did you see that, Foster?
I just saw it recently, but I'd have to look it up to see.
Did you also remember what today's date was?
I mean, oh, heavy.com. Are you familiar with the Heavy on Vikings?
Yes. It's an aggregator site that republishes and stuff. For the most part, there are some individual writers on there. I know one of them, but I have not heard that one.
Yeah, I mean, I know people put stuff out that could be.
Why would we want Glasgow?
That's why I asked.
In 2026, I want to get past being nice and calling certain sites aggregator sites. Let's just say they steal people's work.
Hey, they stole it from somebody, though.
I have not heard that one, but okay.
But yeah, the Lions do have one signing report. They signed a veteran safety yesterday, Chuck Clark, just to add some added, depth to the safety room. Obviously, we've had a lot of injuries. Chuck Clark's been around a while. I think he was previously, he's bounced around a little bit. The Ravens, Jets, and most recently the Steelers. Looks like he's a, physical, run defending safety. He graded out as 70 PFF last year, but heavy emphasis on his run defense. He was 7th in all the safeties with the 83 rank in run defense. So, somebody that's going to get his nose dirty. He's not shy about playing at the line of scrimmage. So I'm not mad at that. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the annual league meetings, which is where the coaches and some of the front office guys were down in Phoenix, Arizona. It was kind of an interesting sight to see, all these guys kind of hanging out together. I did not see any pictures of Ben Johnson and his best bud LaFleur, but yeah, they had a lot of stuff to talk about as far as roster composition and free agency and all that. So let's just go around the room. That you guys get an opportunity to see what your front office or coach had to say down in Phoenix, Arizona.
Of course.
Absolutely. And wasn't Ben Johnson with LaFleur in the coach's picture?
No.
No.
We don't do that fake nonsense in Chicago. If you were op, you were op for real.
I didn't look to see where they're standing in relationship to each other, but that would be interesting. I'll have to go look that up.
Yeah, Michael Phelps was there.
Not in the picture.
All right. You said they weren't even in the same picture, you're saying?
Well, in that picture, of course, all the coaches are together, but not even in the secret photos, like Jay Glazer. He always has his day drinking event during the owners meetings. All the coaches there getting blasted, just letting their hair down.
It sounds like fun.
Dan Campbell definitely likes to drink. That much I do know.
Dan Campbell was in all the photos, but you don't see Matt and Ben, BD Ben. You don't see them, chumming it up.
So what did BD Ben say? What did he have to talk about?
Oh, Ben had a lot to say. I give you a top 5 things we had to say. For number 5, he wants to challenge the defensive backs, the new defensive backs. Well, not the new ones, but the ones he retained. As you all know, the Bears did let go a lot of the secondary this offseason. He said that he was kind of frustrated with the inability of Jalen Johnson and some of the other ones that have been retained, their inability to play a lot last year, play together. But he's hopeful that that's just a thing of the past. Their frequent injuries are, behind them. They're going to be a strong led unit this year, and he issued a challenge to those cornerstones to stay healthy, prove themselves. Because I mean, it is the business. He used the word business a lot. I guess that's a little, I guess not too
Pointed.
not. It was very pointed, Dave, but it's not on the nose. But you get what he's saying, right? Number 4, he wants to. He has number 4. He has new confidence. He has confidence in the new center he brought in, Garrett Bradbury from the New England Patriots. Obviously, no one's going to be Drew Dahlman unless you're the center for the Las Vegas Raiders. But you got to move on. Everybody wishes Drew Dahlman much success in his next chapter of life, and Ben's on that same path. He has confidence in that guy. This guy was a starter for a long time in the league. He was a starter for a team that went to the Super Bowl last year. He thinks he's a perfect fit for the Bears' wide zone running scheme, and he praised his pass protection skills, which has been, I don't want to say maligned or questioned by some of the media that cover the Bears. So as Ben says, he brings a lot of intelligence and a lot of experience to the position, so he's happy with that. I guess number 3 from what he had said would be he wants to keep the Bears flexible in the draft. Last year, the Bears filled a lot of their primary holes. So, and they did what they needed to do in free agency. They brought in Garrett Bradbury, as I said. They did trade for a left tackle and Jarek Ellis. More on that later. So going into the draft, you're going to do exactly what they did last year. They had a very good draft last year. BPA, best player available. You always want to be able to be flexible in that position because you never know who's going to be available. You never know who's not going to be available. Hey, the guy we really had our eye on, he got sniped from us. All right, let's trade back. You don't want to be stuck doing anything. Or a guy we didn't think it was going to be available. He's there. Let's go. So you like that from Ben. So number 2, what Ben Johnson talked about, he wants to see more out of Caleb. No, did I skip number 3? Or whatever. Number 2, he wants to see more out of Caleb Williams. He believes the young quarterback has not even scratched the surface of what he can be in this league. He's had a lot of potential, and a lot of other players, and other coaches in the league that were interviewed and talked about the Bears and what Ben Johnson's got going on with Caleb Williams. They all agree the same thing. They see a rock star in the making. But Ben Johnson did say that as well as Caleb Williams played last season, he has got to play better. He's entering the second year in the same system, which is not something Caleb has done a lot in his young career. Obviously, what happened in his rookie year. He had 3 different play callers. If you go back to college, he was transferred from Oklahoma to USC. So there's a lot of upheaval going on there. So we want to see it's going to be interesting to see what he can do, actually having some ability to continue to grow in a system. Number 1 thing, we want to move past last year's success. He said he's not talking about 2025 anymore. It ain't important. The team is 0-0 right now. We are not being complacent. We are not being entitled. We are not resting on our laurels. 2026 is a new year. Everybody, what you did last year, it does not matter. You didn't raise any banners. You didn't get any trophies. It's time to lock in and bear down.
Well said. Dave, what you got going on in Minnesota?
Pay talks about flexibility, and I see Ben Johnson doing stretches during the draft. There were a few things that were talked about. Number 5, we needed a broader offseason strategy, and our GM in this particular case talked about it. He Quote said the Minnesota Vikings took a patient approach to free agency. Well, they took a patient approach, one, because they'd fired their GM previously, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, and two, they were like $50 million above the cap, and they had to get under it. So they did. And the Wilfs, who own the team, said, checkbook's closed, basically. So they've done everything at minimal expenses. First off, to get under the cap, which they are now. They've still got to do another move so we can afford to draft, but they're under now. And they haven't given anybody in the way of free agents a big paycheck, which is okay. That's fine. Number 4, mentioning the quarterbacks. That was a biggie. The quarterback room, Kevin O'Connell was heavy on it, didn't declare a starter at all. We all know who it's going to be. It's going to be Kyler Murray. Talked about competition and talked about J.J. McCarthy coming back from California where he's working with John Beck, or whatever Beck's name is. First name, Jeff Beck, John Beck. One of them's a guitar player. Working on his technique. Well, that's good. One of the quotes that I highlighted is JJ has a really good offseason. Yay. I think he's got perspective now. And I wonder what the perspective now indicated. But hey, as long as he develops, he'll easily be the QB2 over Carson Wentz, so who our QB3 is, who I think is just, yes, Joseph, Jeff Beck, Yardbirds. I know Jeff Beck. Carson Wentz is just basically, I think, earning a paycheck until he basically retires, but playing from his favorite team and knows that we've got 3 decent quarterbacks that can all win games if we need to, because Kevin O'Connell was worried last 2 out of 3 seasons, we had to go through at least 3 quarterbacks in our season. And one thing about last year is we didn't have very, very good depth, and the Wilfs wanted that fixed. So it was. Number 3, our center position. We gave up Garrett Bradbury a year ago to the Patriots. We didn't re-sign him. He went to the Patriots. He had a great year, went to the Super Bowl. Good for him. And Pay, wide zone block, as a wide zone blocker, he was outstanding with us. It's pass protection that we had the questions over. If you get a big defensive tackle, nose tackle, he could be forklifted back into Caleb Williams. This is his problem.
Don't like that.
Blake Brandel has been told he's going to focus solely on the center position this offseason. Blake Brandel has always been our 6-man guy that came off the bench to start everywhere on the offensive line. He's good at it, but he last year got stuck in center a few games and did well, relatively. And this year he's been told he's got the job. Now he needs to focus on controlling the snaps and doing all the things normal. It's going to be interesting. Blake Brandel is a 6'7", basically tackle. He was drafted as a tackle, but he plays both sides as tackle, both sides as guard. He's played that. Now he's going to move to center permanently with Ryan Kelly's retirement. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can jump to be a top-line center. I believe he can. They do plan on drafting one. The question is where. There's only about 3, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 decent ones that are worth drafting, but we'll get to that when we get closer to the draft. And then Juergens, his backup, will continue to work us at.
Deshaun Watson.
Number 2. Not quite free agency related, but during the meeting out there in Phoenix, the Vikings announced they are picking up the 5th-year option of Jordan Addison.
April
Bob
Fools.
Brzezinski, our acting GM, said it's a no-brainer, and it is. We get a 5th year at $18 million. If we wanted to trade him at some point in that time period, we could trade him. If we want to extend him, we could extend him, whatever. But it's on the books, and at $18 million, that's going to be cheaper than if we extended him, because wide receivers of his caliber are making well in excess of $20 million, closer to 30. Oof. But that was number 2. And then number 1 was Jonathan Grenard, who the Vikings at the end of the season said, well, yeah, we're open for trade if you want to trade him. Well, nobody's met the requirements for the trade. 1, they need to meet the Minnesota Vikings requirements, whatever that is. And they were thinking 2nd and 3rd, blah, blah, blah. I would think of 1st. Now, some teams reportedly were willing to meet that portion of it, but they weren't willing to meet Jonathan Grenard's salary request because he wanted a pay raise. And Drew Rosenhaus is his manager, his agent, and he wants to be paid easily as a top 10 edge rusher. Is he a top 10 edge rusher? Yeah, he's right about 10. Than that. But to pay somebody he's going to be 29, 30 this year, that much money, he's still in his prime. It's Vikings basically said, no, we're not doing it, at least not now. I always thought that they might extend him and then save cap, all that sort of stuff, push it out, make him the 10th highest, say at $26 million a year or whatever. But who knows what that's going to happen. But that's basically all the things that's happened in Phoenix.
All right. So let's talk briefly about the Green Bay Packers and what they talked about at the media day. Most of this information came from Brian Gutekunst. The one thing that he definitely brought up was closing games better. Obviously, they had a couple epic meltdowns against the Chicago Bears, so I'm sure that was in the back of their mind when thinking about how they can kind of get to the next level. Obviously, LaFleur has been around for 8-9 years, so it's about time that he starts, get into that next level. Another reoccurring theme was the special teams. It appears that wasn't up to the standards of what they would like it to be. I think the one major coaching change they had was their the special teams coach. Actually, I think he left on his own. It was an abrupt departure. So that'll be interesting to see what they choose to do. They've already obviously hired somebody. His name is Cam Achard. As the new special teams guy. Another talking point was they're moving to a base 3-4 defense, and that will be anchored by Zaire Franklin at linebacker, who they have had their eyes on, I guess, dating back to even when he was just a special teams player. He's obviously improved, become a captain, a defensive captain, and they lost Quay Walker to the Vegas Raiders, so they're really excited to see what he can do as far as his leadership skills, and he also has some experience on special teams as well. They didn't make a lot of deals in the offseason as far as free agency is concerned, but they did go out and get Javon Hargrave, who was a veteran interior defensive lineman. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, so they think that he can help them as far as defending the run and pass rush. In addition to that, they went out and got Benjamin St. Jude, who was a reserve cornerback for the Chargers last year. He was the highest rated zone corner. He's a bigger corner. I think he was like 6'3", 200. So kind of a quiet, sneaky move for them. But he in the limited opportunities that he did get, he was pretty efficient. They also signed somebody that went to my alma mater, Sky Moore from Western Michigan University. He's going to be brought in to help the special teams unit as far as kick returns are concerned. They bounced around to a couple of different receivers as far as kickoff returns are concerned. I think they were 23rd in kickoff return yards. So they hope that he can come in and bolster that group. Outside of that, they expressed interest in extending Christian Watson, who's been there off and on, their wide receiver one, but he's obviously dealt with a lot of injuries off and on. And yeah, that's about it as far as the Green Bay Packers are concerned. As far as not much. As far as the Lions are concerned, Dan Campbell handled most of the duties. I don't think Brad Holmes was present for that. He talked a lot about the current roster composition and how we've struck gold on a lot of our draft picks. So a lot of our extensions have come from within, guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, Hutch, Kirby Joseph, as well as guys like Gibbs, Jack Campbell, and Sam Laporta, who will be getting extensions in the upcoming years. And he's just basically said that has kind of handcuffed our ability to really attack free agency in the way that a lot of people would want us to. He talked about how he wanted the roster to get younger, which resulted in the departures of Khalif Raymond, Alexander Zaloni, Al-Qadim Muhammad. And he said, obviously DJ Reader is still out there, and we'll just have to wait and see about that. Also, Taylor Decker is another guy he was recently was our longest tenured up until this point. He said the next phase of things will be kind of passing down the leadership roles as far as Penei Sewell taking over at the offensive line, and as well as Jack Campbell being the leader in the linebacker room. He also said that Penei Sewell they've already discussed him flipping over to the blind side role, taking over for Taylor Decker. And Penei Sewell, that was his role in college. So he's not unfamiliar to him, but he didn't have to worry about that role as Taylor Decker was already there. And that pretty much covers the main topics of the Lions at meeting today.
Penei will do at left tackle.
I think he's pretty comfortable with it. I mean, that's the reason why he was the number 3 pick, is because he manned that position, and he's, as far as as a Lion, he's a all-pro offensive lineman. So I don't think that it'll be any issue for him, and that should help us a lot. We do have a guy here now. We signed somebody, Larry Borum, who I think is more comfortable at the right tackle position. So I think that will help us whether we draft somebody or not.
Did you say Larry Borum?
That's your boy, or he was there. He was there for.
I love that for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're definitely still going to address the right tackle position. I think he's going to kind of bounce around a little bit, but in the event that we have to settle on Larry Borum, I hope that he can hold it down. Our biggest concern was definitely that center position, which we addressed with Cade Mays. So, but yeah, a familiar face to we went out and got a couple, familiar faces as far as Bears and Vikings. So no Packers from what I can, or actually
No,
the
they
tight
just
end.
pulled from us.
You said what?
The Packers just pulled from us. Hargrave,
right. So yeah, let's get to the first break and let's see what we got going on the back end of that. All right. And I did say that we were going to touch on some draft stuff. And now we are in the phase of pro days. Colleges are hosting pro days, and NFL teams are going on tour and checking out some of those, doing their scouting and checking times. Pay, what pro days did you guys frequent, and who were you guys checking out?
There's a bunch of them. The Bears had a lot of top 30 visits, but the guys that we are really got our eyes on is more or less a lot of defensive players. Let me get my list back up here. From Ohio State, we got their defensive tackle, Caden McDonald. The sister school of Ohio State, Michigan, linebacker Jimmy Roldare. We like him. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. I know it's still we just talking about guys we're interested in, but I know this is more of a Detroit Lions thing, but the Bears, they like their wide receivers. There's a player out of Ole Miss, Dejon Stribling. I hear the Bears are really, really high on him. So two guys out of Kentucky, there's center Yager Burton, their running back Seth McGowan, and a nerd offensive lineman Brian Parker out of Duke, and another nerd tight end Dan Valeri from Syracuse.
Dave, where you guys been?
As far as pro days, we generally send scouts to most of them, but for our top 30 visits, we've had Oscar Delp, tight end from Georgia, in Jonah Coleman, running back from Washington, Anthony Hill, linebacker, Texas, Damon Claiborne from running back, Wake Forest, Lance Mason, tight end, Wisconsin, another tight end, Tristan Lay, tackle, Clemson, Ted Hurst, wide receiver, Georgia State, and Emmett Johnson, running back. So it seems running backs and tight ends are the ones dominating so far. But it could point to where we're going. I don't know. For pro days, we've been to Jeff Caldwell, Cincinnati, wide receiver, Lincoln Parr, running back, Texas State, Scooby Williams, what a great name, linebacker, Texas A&M, Andrew Simpson, linebacker, North Carolina, Truman Wehrmeyer, fullback, North Dakota State. Wonder if we get a fullback this year, or we'll just go with a tight end converted into H-back sort of deal. Jacob Gill, wide receiver, Iowa. Do they even have wide receivers at Iowa? Good question.
I mean, for what? why wouldn't they just play 14 personnel out there?
Charles Demmings, quarterback, Stephen F. Austin, Xavier Harris, defensive tackle, Ole Miss, Jaden Williams, offensive line, Ole Miss, Jacobian Gilroy, the second defensive tackle, LSU, Ray J. Nelson, wide receiver, North Dakota State, Khalil Jacobs, linebacker, Missouri, Emmanuel Pregnon, offensive line, a guard out of Oregon, Alex Harkley, offensive line out of Oregon, and let's see, we have Rasul Faison. I wonder if he was related to Faison that used to play for the Vikings, running back, South Carolina, and
Faison Love
Kilgore. Do what, Pay?
Maybe he's related to Faison Love.
It could be. And Jalon Kilgore's safety out of South Carolina. So those are the pro days we've attended. Documented.
All right. And the Lions, we were at Alabama viewing Ty Simpson. We went to Auburn. We were present to see Keldrick Falk, who's a name that we've mentioned quite a bit. We went to Georgia. Oscar Delp was a tight end, and Monroe Freeling, another name that we sing a lot, our offensive lineman. Penn State to view Drew Aller, yet another quarterback. Yes, another quarterback. And also the guard Ola Vavega Ione. It's a guard. Michigan to see Jay Sean Barkman, and also to see Derek Moore, who's an edge. And then LSU to see Mansour Delaney and Garrett Nussmeier, another quarterback. And we also hosted a couple pro days, had a couple meetings in Detroit with Tyree West, who's a defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman out of Tennessee, as well as DeMarcus Lacey out of Marshall.
So those quarterbacks, dancing in my ear. So you guys are interested. Well, you guys want to go look at the, as your boy Dan Orlovsky says, best quarterback in the draft, Ty Simpson, huh?
Interesting.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he said that.
Hey, I mean,
he ran out the back of the end zone, so of course he can run out the back of the of common sense too. So
right? Yeah, it's like if it had been a different messenger, I'd be like, oh, I'd be all for it. But it's like, I don't know.
Is the golf era coming to an end?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that we missed the mark completely on the Hendon Hooker thing. That was 2-3 years ago. So you gotta, and then obviously we got Teddy Two Gloves, who's solid backup, but eventually you have to plan for the future, even if that's 3 years down the road.
Oh, and Teddy's getting up there in age.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to see him as your 6. Yeah. I mean, he seems to be aging backwards, from what I can see, but he's just not a starting quarterback. So
no, not since his knee got destroyed.
Yeah. So it's good to see him back and all that. He retired, coached, and I think he went to, where'd he go last year? Tampa Bay?
Tampa.
Yeah. So it's good to see him back in the facilities and all that. But but yeah, gotta develop the next guy. So
who you like better, Drew Aller or Ty Simpson?
Haven't done my due diligence. What was that?
Great answer.
Just as
quarterbacks. When I look at positions of need, I don't tend to focus too heavily on the quarterback. But
just as players, I'm sure you watched them at some point during college football, their college football careers. Just who you like?
I obviously get a chance to see Drew Allard a lot more, being in the Big Ten. So I might be, I've definitely seen more of them, so I'm probably biased to that. But I don't know. Alabama isn't pumping out talent the way they used to, and their quarterbacks. I mean, Jalen Hurts was pretty good, but they tend to make better college quarterbacks than
transfer
NFL.
Portal and NIL playing havoc with all that.
Yeah, that could be a factor. That could certainly be a factor.
I think Drew Aller sucks.
Hey, I'm with you on that. So do we any more spicy news coming out of Chicago? You sound like you were kind of holding on to something that was more, you know.
Well, everybody was more akin. Well, I mean, we love talking football, but everybody was probably on pins and needles for who was going to address the media today. And it was your boy, Dave, Kevin Warren, and Mike
Ooh,
McCaskey.
about the stadium.
Yeah, your favorite topic, stadium talk. Even though I tell you every week, Dave, there's no new news, no new news. Well, there is a bit of some news this today. So, Kevin Warren and George McCaskey, for those who don't know, George McCaskey is the chairman of the Bears, the son of Virginia McCaskey, who is the daughter of George Hallis. They talked to the media today, and they have told you that there's not a deal finalized yet. However, they do, and I'm going to put this in quotations, they hope to choose between Arlington Heights and Hammond, Indiana by the end of the spring or early summer. Why is that important? Because the Illinois Legislative Assembly closes May 31st. That's why that's important. So, feet to the fire.
And if they
land in the sand.
Agree to the bill, Hammond huggables, here we come.
Dave, today's April 1st. Let's just cut the crap. The Bears are not going to Hammond. The Bears are not going to Indiana. The Bears will play on Mars before they play in Indiana. Another important thing that did come from this, the George McCaskey did say that he did want to put this out there again. They are putting up $2 billion required to secure the site. The McCaskies have always been debt averse. Some people might call it cheap. Let me just say it's more so being frugally responsible, right? They have said $2 billion. They're going to put this towards the stadium, towards the building of the stadium. They still want that $800 million from Illinois to help with infrastructure and the things of that nature. Plus, they want passage of that mega projects bill from the legislature so that they have that long-term property tax certainty. That's pretty much everything that's on the table for Arlington Heights. As you all know, the Bears do own that 320-something odd acres, a lot more acres than what the government owes me and my people. You hear me, right, Foster? A lot more acres than what they owe us. But the Bears own a lot of land out there in Arlington Heights. And in my opinion, it's hustling backwards if you own a plot of land that you plan to build on and then you go rent somewhere else. It just makes no sense whatsoever. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what Hammond, Indiana is offering as well. They have a lot of political expediency out there. I think it's all for show, but that's just my opinion. They did all that bells and whistles just to announce that they've created a stadium authority. That's all it did. And with that stadium authority, they now have the authority, to use that word again, to get whatever property lands and get whatever deals done in order to build a stadium off there. Now, there's a lot of things you have to do. They haven't had any mock-ups. They don't have any they haven't done the environmental tests and anything like that. You haven't done any of the necessary legwork that you have to actually put before you can actually put shovels in the ground. But Indiana's there. It's key leverage for the Bears and in their negotiations with Illinois. It is what it is. But May 31st seems to be the deadline to get things done in Illinois.
All right. And before we get into
good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into the hottest news with the Lions, there was some random trade rumors that I found, and it was between the LA Rams and Philadelphia Eagles. The Rams appeared to be testing the waters on an exchange for Devontae Adams and AJ Brown. Obviously, Devontae Adams is coming off a pretty strong year. I think he led the league in receiving touchdowns, but it would have been an opportunity for them to get a little bit younger at the wide receiver position. Devontae Adams was made aware of it all the way through, and they ultimately decided to not go with that. Well, do you think they made the right decision? Do you feel like there will be some backlash to the idea that they were looking to move Devontae Adams? What are you guys' thoughts about that? Have you heard anything about that?
No, this is news to me. Devontae Adams is going on the move again. Still a very good player. For a long time, I thought he's the best wide receiver in the league. But, yeah, that's interesting. That will be shocking, to be honest with you.
And they ultimately, decided to not go with that. But Adams did say that he would like to end his career in LA and play with Stafford for as long as he can. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's anything more to that down the line.
I wonder if it has anything to do with Kirk Cousins rumors. I shouldn't say rumors. Big V said, "Come on down. We'll have you." It's
bit of a pay cut for Kirk, though, right? Does he work for that type of money? Does he work for backup money?
Well, yeah. Well, he's going to be that, but it's the whole everybody that wants Kirk. Whether it be the Rams, whether it be the Niners, whether it be the Raiders, of course. The Raiders makes the most sense because he could start and have Mendoza, tootled while Mendoza came up to speed. But I don't know.
And in Lions news, the front office, most notably Rod Wood, has been in some hot water about the reports that they retain half of Frank Ragnow's bonus, signing bonus, once he decided to retire. He came out and said that this is common practice that dates back to the Barry Sanders days. I think they actually retained $7 million from him, as well as $1.6 million from Calvin Johnson, which is, when you want to talk about frugal and all that, good stuff. I mean, those decisions, definitely sour things from, Barry Sanders and Calvin. It was just recently that Calvin Johnson and those guys started coming back around. And Alex Anzalone decided to sound off on that. Obviously, he's moved on to Tampa Bay, but he was quoted as saying, "Played through a fractured throat," which I was like, maybe he's just joking. But no, Frank Ragnow was really, really banged up. It said played through fractured throat, 1 week post meniscus cleanup with stitches, barely out, and with an inoperable toe. Hey, let me get that prorated signing bonus back. So, he has since then, his whole point was that, business is business. And he's since then kind of, said this is not, a knock to Dan Campbell and, stuff like that. But, it's a cutthroat business. But, Rod Wood is, standing on the whole, with this. Hey, we did it to Barry. So Frank Ragnow thinks that he's that if he's not getting that, the same level of treatment, he's got another thing coming. So
yeah, but it's not like he supposedly elected to retire, but then he came back and said, "I'll come play," and then he didn't pass the physical. If it's how the CBA is written, if you retire because you are physically unable to perform, you get all your bonuses, right? And he was basically physically unable to perform, and he proved that by wanting to come back and play, and was told, "No, you can't. You don't pass the physical." And it's interesting to see. I just thought the Lions are being cheap. as normal.
I mean, you have an argument there, Dave. But if I'm Detroit, I'm telling them take it to court. We'll see. We'll see.
They're going to have to. He's going to have to sue if he's going to hope to get to keep any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Fractured throat.
I know. That's a bitch.
I hope
that can't be fun.
I hope to do something like that to somebody's daughter later on. But that is a tough injury to play football with.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine how it gets physical in the trenches, but dang. Yeah,
it just looks bad for Detroit. It looks like same old Lions. And you guys have supposedly gotten over that.
Right. Yeah, that's supposed to be in the past. At least we're winning. Same old Lions used to be same old losing. But
it was famous. Well, let me not say famous. It was well reported that Calvin Johnson, when he retired, and there was a strain in their relationship between him and the Detroit Lions due to money that they had held back, right? Was that the same reason that Barry and the Lions were kind of distant for so long after he retired too?
Yeah, I mean, he said that he collected $7 million. They collected $7 million from him, which is quite a. I mean, when you think about how long ago that was, I mean, obviously,
that's a chunk now.
Yeah, yeah. So imagine back then. So yeah, he was, he's back. I don't know how they salvaged that and how they, clean that up.
Calvin's back too.
Calvin's back too. I think it took a little less long for Calvin, but yeah. So, but yeah, it was financially based for certain. So.
Dangerous game for the Lions, pissing off your legends.
Yeah,
you're not going to have very well received Ring of Honor days if your legends are pissed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, especially ones that are so present in, I mean, these are the guys that people come across when they're walking around. So, yeah, not good. The most recent situation is the whole Taylor Decker situation. And he basically said that there was no offer, post release, there was no offer made. I think the term ghosted was even used. So, and long tenure, he was around for the bad all the way up into the good. And it's just basically being played off as, hey, we're trying to get younger. And it is what it is. So I don't know. We'll see what results of all that. But Dave, what you got coming up?
Caught me mid-sip.
I did. My bad.
We have the Real Fordo show tomorrow night, and Tyler's going to go over Draft 101. And we're going to talk about cliffs, how personnel in the draft, you may have, give an example, quarterback. You got round one quarterback, Mendoza, right? And he's going to go first overall pick. Then there's the drop to Simpson. Where does Simpson fall? And then there's further drops after that. And we're going to be talking about those levels. Where can you get a corner? Where does the cornerback drop off? Where does the edge drop off? All that sort of stuff. And we're going to look at this class in particular as to where those cliffs are. And then Sunday, of course, we're going to have 2 old bloggers, which we'll review the whole week in a long form format. And we have a good day or a good week. We're building up to the draft week. Draft week's going to be banging. We got at least 2 shows live a day, all draft week, and then through the draft, and we're live every single round of the draft.
Hey, what y'all got going on?
Mid-sip is crazy, but you guys gonna be busy.
Oh yeah, we normally are. Best time of year.
Yeah, it's Christmas for football addicts.
Mm-hmm.
Over at Chicago, Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel, Baseball Thursday is upon us. We have multiple baseball shows hitting the channel on Thursday. Check that out. The Sox suck, and the Cubs are getting off to a slow start so far. I mean, 3-3, but we'll talk about it in depth on Thursday, Friday.
Hey, how could the Sox suck? We're only about a week and a half into the season.
We knew they was gonna suck. They've entered the wrong record books yet again for a fourth straight season. Baseball Thursdays are a fun time over at Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel. We will be talking about all Chicago sports news. There's some stuff heading out there coming from the Bulls. We got to talk about some of that nasty business, and we're gonna get our bearings from these owner meetings as well. So there will be a big football show where we go in depth on what we heard from Ben Johnson, Kevin Warren, Pace, the new offensive coordinator, Press Taylor, and give our thoughts on that. That should hit the channel on Friday. And as you know, Mondays and Tuesdays are basketball specific. Great things come from the Shot Bulletin and the Central Division Showdown on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then we circle back on Wednesday where we have our NFC North Roundtable. So check us out, Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel, located anywhere you get your pods, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
Over on Bleachers to Speakers, I've been telling y'all for the last month, draft coverage. I promise, 23 days left. We're gonna hit the ground running on the draft coverage. Outside of that, we got the Pistons. We got a Central Division show, as Pay talked about, every Monday, and Tigers coverage on every Sunday. We're reviewing the week. The Tigers are off to a slow start as well. I feel like everybody who's doing good, I don't know. Everybody's off to a slow start. We got blank today, 0-1 with Scooble in the bump, which is never a good thing. But opening day is coming up on Friday. The weather's going to be beautiful. Hopefully the Tigers can get a win against I don't know how the Cardinals are doing, but they're not supposed to be very good this year. So that'd be a nice series to sweep.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be a great series?
It would. Until whenever Chicago comes to town, if they come to town, that's the one.
You can sweep the Sox all you want. That's perfect.
Right, see, good one. See, there you go. Oh yeah, I forgot. Tim is a Cardinals fan. They are 4-2.
So STL, emphasis on the L part. They're off to a good start. As you know, they did play a particular team that's going to be worse than them to start the season. That explains some of that. However, water always finds its level, and I did say the L is going to be very emblazed with STL this season.
All right. And our sound guy's still gone. But what do you say in Chicago, Pay?
We say bear down.
All right. And my parting words, protect your neck. Throat, fractured throat doesn't sound fun.
It's a real thing. It's an epidemic in this nation.
All right. See y'all next week.
Get your lick back. If a nugget gon' do something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting shit slide and get your lick.